Hi everyone, this video is to show you how to create some files and how to populate them with some data. Let's go and look at where we currently are. So I'm still logged in as the Don Wilson user, and as we saw in the previous video, I am in my home directory, so /home/Don Wilson, and in that I've got 3 files already created and 3 directories. So we're going to create a couple extra files. Normally if you were creating a file on Microsoft Windows, you would probably use an editor to create a file and put some data into it. So you'd maybe use Word or WordPad, Notepad, that sort of stuff. So there are default editors that ship with the installation of Linux. However, and this might sound ridiculous, but they're actually really complicated to use. And the reason is because you have to use the editors from the command line. So you guys are used to going up to file menus and doing file, save, file open, edit, copy, edit, paste. So it's all menu driven, menus and pointers. We don't have a graphical user interface here at the command prompt. Now, I know some of you are probably already Googled this and you can sitting at home thinking, yeah, there is Dawn, there's K-Desktop, there's GNOME Desktop, there's loads of user interfaces for Linux. And you're right, there is. However, when you go into a customer site, they will more than likely take you into the server room, wheel up a terminal to the server and plug you right into the back of the server for you to install your software. That terminal has got nothing on it. It doesn't have GNOME or K-Desktop or anything installed. And you're not allowed to install things like that on the customer's PC or in the customer's terminal. So you have to be able to use everything from the command line. That's why it's really important. So because the editor is quite tricky, we will be covering it, but we're not going to cover it for a few weeks yet. So I'm going to show you a quick and easy way of creating and putting content into files. So to create a file, a 0 length file with nothing in it, which is good for practicing, you can use a command called touch. So touch, if the file doesn't exist, it will create it. So let's just create a couple of files. So you can create as many as you want. So I'm going to create 3 files, test1, test2, test3. So if I now do ls-l, another wee top tip guys, to save you having to retype commands, Linux actually keeps a history of commands, and we'll look at the history in a future lesson. However, the history is stored and you can access it quickly by using the up arrow on your keyboard. So you'll see if I keep pressing up, it just scrolls through all my recent commands I've used, which is really nice. So I'm going to scroll up till I get to ls-l and then I just hit return. So it saves me having to do lots of typing. So you'll now see that this list of the contents of my directory is expanded to now include 3 new files. And you'll see they're all 0 size. If you use touch and the file already exists, so let's do a touch on carhire.cs, then what happens is, use my up arrow to do an ls again, sorry I'll scroll down for you to see, you'll notice that if you look at the carhire.cs at the top of the screen, the timestamp's 7:04 in the morning. Yep, that's the time that I created that file this morning. And you'll see now, I'm still here, and it's now 5:36 in the evening. So you'll see now it's updated the carhire to 5:36. So if the file exists, all touch does is it just pokes it and updates the timestamp. If it doesn't exist, it creates it with 0 length. Pretty good wee tip to know. It's a good wee command to know if you're trying to quickly create files. Okay, so that's all good and well, but we want to actually look at the content of a file that exists, and we want to be able to put content into a new file. So let's say first of all we want to look at the content of a file that already exists. So the command we're going to explore for doing both of these, so both looking at the content and adding content to a file, is called the cat command, C-A-T, which is short for concatenate. So the cat command basically displays file contents out to the screen by default. That's its default behavior. So let's pick a file. So I'm going to pick so bank app. You can see size 206, so it's got something in it. So I'm going to pick bank app. Another wee top tip is as you type in the name of a file, you can get it to do a kind of form of auto-completion. So I've typed in the first 3 characters. If it's unique after that, then you can actually hit your escape key twice. So if you just give your escape key a wee double tap, it'll auto-complete for you. So again, some time-saving tips here. So if I hit return, cat will just basically splat the contents of this file out to the screen. So there you go. It's a C++ file, .cpp, and you can see it's got some text at the top, then it's got a main method, and that's it. So that's the full contents of the file. Okay, that's how we display the contents of a file. If, I'm just going to clear the screen just to make it a bit nicer for you guys. If we don't have a file, if we don't give the cat command the name of a file, so if I just say cat, and that's it, don't give it any arguments. So that was an argument we used, just based on the previous video we just did. If I just give it no arguments, then what happens is the prompt disappears and everybody panics. What's going on here is it will wait from input, from standard input, which is your keyboard. And as soon as it gets input, all it does is it just displays it back to the screen again. So this is done. And if I hit return, it's just going to display it back to the screen. Hello. And displays it back to screen. So not particularly useful. However, it does have a use. Now, right now we're in panic mode because we can't type anything in because we don't have a prompt. So the cat command does take over the session. So you have to basically tell it when you are finished. So to tell it you're finished, so in order to stop doing its thing, you use Control and D. So that basically stops it and the prompt comes back. So how can we make this useful, more useful? Well, what we can do is we can use the cat command, and by default, as we just saw, it would just take input from the screen and display it back to the screen. So I'm going to say, okay, that's fine, take the input from the screen, but instead of displaying it back to the screen, I want you to put it into a file. So to put it into a file, by default, this command will go out to the screen, but I want to redirect it to a file. So to redirect it to a file, I use a special symbol which does look like greater than. It is that symbol, but in Linux land it means redirection. So it says take the normal output of the cat command, which would be the screen, and redirect it somewhere else. So we're going to redirect it to a file. So what will we call it? So let's just call it demo1.txt. Okay, call it whatever you want. File extensions, by the way, are not strictly adhered to. Again, it's a kind of good practice thing. So in Windows, you guys are used to whatever application you're using sticks a file extension on. So Word would be ..doc, PowerPoint, .ppt. Linux won't do that for you by default. So it's just good to get into the habit of, if it's a text file, txt, if it's C++, CPP, just have a kind of standard. For some of them, there is a requirement to have a particular extension. So for instance, the Python interpreter, as you'll see later on in week 8, it requires the files to have a .py extension. Right, back to what we're doing here. So we're taking the cat command, which will take the input from the screen, and instead of putting it back out to the screen, it's going to redirect it to a file. So I hit return, and again I can now start typing stuff in. So let's just do what we did before. This is done. I'll say hello everyone. Oh, if I can spell everyone. There we go. I'm finished, so Control D to say right, I'm done. Okay, let's use my up arrow to find our ls command. And let's see, so I now have a file called demo1.txt. So let's have a look and see what's in it. To look and see what's in it, use the cat command, give it the name of the file, hit escape twice. So when I hit return, it should display back to me what's in that file, which it has done, but I need to scroll down to show you. There we go, so it's displayed the 2 lines. So it's actually quite a great wee command, and it's a lot of developers' favourite command is the cat command because it's so flexible. What if you want to add text on to the end of a file? Well, we can do that as well. So again, cat command, we redirect it, and I want to add it on to the end of the file we've just done, the demo1.txt. So to append onto a file, if I just did cat and then did demo1.txt, it would just overwrite it. But if I want to add it on to the end, I put double redirection, which basically means add it onto the end, append it. Okay, it is Saturday. Goodbye. So I'm adding a couple of lines on. Control D to say I'm finished. So now let's use the cat command to now display what's in the file. Oh, let's get my scroll bar back. So cat demo1.txt, and you'll see it's now got those extra 2 lines. Fab. So it is an absolutely brilliant command. I love it. Saves you a lot of time when you're just wanting to do small edits. Now I know you're all sitting saying, well, what if I want to actually edit the content of the file, not just add stuff on? Well, then you need to use an editor. I'm afraid there's no way around that. But we will come to that in a few weeks' time. The other thing you can do is you can actually join files together as well. So that's the last thing we're going to look at with the cat command. So let's say we join together, what have we got here? Bank app and demo1. Let's do that. So cat, and then you put in the name of the file, bank double escape to complete for me to save me typing. And I'm going to join it with, what did I say? Demo1, didn't I? I'm going to join it with demo1, and I'm going to basically put the result into a new file called demo2.txt. So I'm now adding whatever's in bank app, CPP, whatever's in demo1, join them together and put them into a new file. ls-l, there we go, we've got demo2. If we want to see what's in demo2, we can just do cat demo2.txt. Another command you can actually use to look at the contents of a file is also the more command. It's another pretty useful one. So more doesn't do much other than literally just displaying the contents of a file, whereas cat's got all that extra stuff we've just explored. So more demo, and you need to give it a file name, obviously, doesn't work with anything else. So more, and then the argument is the file name, so demo2, and it just puts the whole thing out to the screen again. So you can see now the top section is the C++ file, and then there's my text file it's added on as well. Okay, so cat is a fantastic command. Make sure if you learn just a few commands that that's definitely one of them, because it will save you a lot of time when you're trying to create files and make notes and things. Okay, that brings us to the end of this video. The next one we're going to look at is how to actually create the file hierarchy, so create our own directories and start to move around within the file hierarchy.